Hi, I'm Adrian Christy. I'm the Chief Executive at Table Tennis England, and you're watching Time Out on Table Tennis England.
So Adrian, 6 days left at Table Tennis England, 6 days left before you retire. Must feel pretty surreal.
Yeah, it does feel very surreal actually. After, I think I was trying to work it out the other day, I've been working for 45 years now and 30 plus of those in this sector. So yeah, it feels exciting, I have to say. It's been a difficult year personally, and so to be able to put some perspective around what we're doing as a family is really quite exciting for us. So yeah, but I'll be very sad to finish, very sad to leave TTE, very sad to leave sport. But yeah, as I say, very exciting time, I think.
So you say 30 years in this sector.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you got into sport.
So I left school when I was 16, finished my O-levels. Absolutely hated school. Didn't want to stay on at school. Didn't want to go to university. But I'd grown up from kicking a football or hitting a cricket ball or playing tennis, playing badminton, playing table tennis in local leisure centres. And that's all I wanted to do. But I listened to people who I always assumed had some wise advice. So got a job in a bank. And at the end of the first week, my dad said to me, "So how are you enjoying it?" I said, "I absolutely hate it." But I stuck at it for 5 years, which was longer than I thought I was going to. I got married quite young. We had our children young, so I needed to give them some stability. And then decided that I had to get out of the bank, and chance meeting with a friend of a friend who was a London taxi driver. And so I did the knowledge when I was 19, just almost 20, became a London cab driver and did that for 9 years. But partway through it, I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do either. Sport was really what I wanted to do. Yeah. And one day I was reading the Evening Standard paper and I saw an advert for a vacancy for a sports development officer. I thought, God, what's that? I'd never heard of them. So I applied for it, knew I wasn't going to get anywhere near it, but it gave me an opportunity to properly understand what that kind of a job was. Knew what qualifications they were looking for. I went to college, so I'd go out in the cab in the morning, go to college, go out in the cab then afterwards at night. And while I was doing that, I got my qualification. And one day I walked into my nearby local authority and I said to them, "I want to be a sports development officer. I've got this newfound qualification." And the sports development manager said to me, "We haven't got any vacancies." So I said, "Oh, I'll do it for free if you teach me how to be an SDO." So she did. And there's lots of people that have influenced my career, but she was the one who opened that first door. She didn't have to do that. She was absolutely amazing. And I was there for about four months. And all the while I'm applying for jobs. And I eventually got a role in Sussex as a sports development officer. Worked in local authorities for a couple of years. Then worked for National Coaching Foundation, now UK Coaching. Went to tennis, squash, badminton, and here. So it's a really weird, or very different, I think, given my earlier role, earlier part of my working life, to 45 years later, be the chief exec of governing bodies.
Yeah.
So
and at what point along that journey did you think that you might want to be a CEO or a leader in sport?
Almost immediately. The one thing that I think I've always been able to do is see bigger picture stuff. I love passionate people who, I often say this to people. People ask me quite frequently about what when you're employing people, what are you looking for? And I think I can honestly say this. I can't remember a time when I've ever employed somebody based on their academic qualifications. I want people who are passionate, hungry, bold, risk takers. Not people who are, who might, get organisations into trouble, but certainly people who are prepared to think differently and do different things. So I look around even the governing body sector, people outside of sport. I have a network around me that I often refer to as my personal boardroom. So these are people that don't even know they're on it, but they're just people that I lean to, pick the phone up, have a coffee, and I've just admired the work that they do.
And I imagine there'll be many people out there that will have worked with you and you will have supported them and helped them with their careers, and I'm one of those people. How do you want to be remembered as a leader in sport and as a CEO and as someone's boss? What are the things that you're really proud of, that you think that you've done for individuals and the sports sector?
I think the one of the key things for me is about always trying to be authentic, be yourself. You can have influences. You can certainly take really good things and learn good habits. But the one thing that I've always wanted to show people that I've worked with, and hoped that people would feel that I've always kind of delivered on this, is just wanting to be excited. I wake up every day excited about what I do, what I want people to be able to equally feel, and the excitement to then kind of cascade into them being motivated to do some just really amazing things. And I've been at table tennis for 3 years, and I think what we're starting to do now, kind of 2 years now into our Table Tennis United strategy, is it's not just about doing things differently or changing things for the sake of it, but belief into people, and people genuinely feeling that things are possible. Our ability to host now major international events, our ability to be so focused on wanting to win Olympic medals. And I remember when I walked into badminton in 2006, we had a strategy. I was asked to put a strategy together, and one of the things that I said then was that we'd win a medal in 2016. It would take 10 years, and it was always going to take 10 years, because there was a fantastic crop of young players that were coming towards the end of their careers. Olympic medalists like Nathan Robertson, Gail Ems, world champions. But they were starting to come towards the end of their time. And I saw a young pair play in Sussex, actually, it was. And these kids went on to become outstanding athletes, outstanding players. And we started to build that pipeline. And then there was a men's doubles pair that were just really coming into their own. In 2016, they won Great Britain's first ever men's doubles medal at the Rio Games. And I came into here feeling that we were in a very similar place. We hadn't medalled. GB table tennis had never medalled. Commonwealth Games was approaching us. And I think sports like ours, or organisations like ours, should always be winning Commonwealth medals. We're strong enough to do that on a regular basis. The Olympics is a different event, and I just felt that we needed to be more ambitious, that we needed to be much, much clearer. And when I look at now the programme, how it's developing, I think Gavin's doing an amazing job. I think John Murphy, Carlo, I think we're building a coaching team, we're building a focus, we're building that excitement, and as I say, that ambition. to do some great things. But yeah, so I'd like people. You asked me what I'd like people to remember me by. I'm definitely a doer, Keely. I'm not somebody who sits in my office and just kind of tries to conduct an orchestra. I've got to play an instrument or two along the way, and sometimes that might be a fault as well. I really hope I never get in anybody's way, but I do want to feel that I'm helping people to be brilliant at what they do.
In 2026, the World Table Tennis Championships will be played in London.
One of your key bits of legacy that you'll leave behind here at Table Tennis England is bringing the World Team Championships back to London in 2026.
Yeah.
How will having an event like that contribute towards our ambition to win medals on big stages?
I think first and foremost the world's bid and the wider major events actually are all about building excitement around the sport, increasing our visibility, increasing our profile, more people seeing our athletes. You know, the eyes of the world are going to be on London in 2026. The eyes of the world are going to be on Table Tennis England and the new company Table Tennis International events to put on a show that people are going to remember forever. And I want people to be able to look at young players, to look at Liam Pitchford or Anna Hersey or Tintin and look at these great athletes and want to be them. And not only want to be them, but want to be competing at the level that these guys are able to compete at. And to do that, they've got to see it, they've got to feel it, they've got to want to be part of an atmosphere. Equally, potential commercial partners, you know, with the exception of Mark Bates, you know, it's tough to get commercial support these days, and we need that further injection of investment to enable the sport to continue to grow. So for a brand to be able to look at table tennis, for a player to look at table tennis and think, I want to be part of that, I want to be associated with that, is very much got to be part of the ongoing journey for this organisation, I think.
Yeah. And if you were staying at Table Tennis England, if you were going to continue to lead us over the next few years, world champs aside, what are the key things that you would be driving forwards with? Where do you think the opportunities are, or still are perhaps, in this sport?
I think governing bodies, certainly over the last 10 years, possibly even a bit longer than that, governing bodies have become, we're very, very complex organisations. We have multiple stakeholders. On one hand, we have our members that understandably, rightly perhaps, have demands on local competition, local leagues, ranking systems. And on the other hand, we have public funding, where governing bodies are now being challenged to address or help to address some of society's challenges. And they're not always complementary. So trying to balance that out is difficult, and I think the organisation needs to think about going forward how it structures itself, where it can absolutely deliver against the demands of our members. But it also has to be able to recognise that only 6% of the people that play table tennis are members. And the biggest opportunity for me through participation is ping. And it was one of the things that I was always really excited about when I came here, about how do we almost kind of breathe life back into ping. You know, you were involved in it in the early days, around about the London 2012 and post games, where ping was just this wonderful opportunity to just get people onto a table, and for all sorts of kind of funding decisions, it's lost its momentum and it's lost its way a little bit. But for us to be able to welcome people into the sport, all ages, all abilities, young, old, male, female, it doesn't matter, is a wonderful gateway into table tennis. And I honestly don't know too many sports that have such an accessible opportunity. Lots of sports have opportunities, but we have a really accessible opportunity. And for us to be able to bring those people into the sport on a regular basis, and for some of them to bleed into the more, what I call the formal side of the game, wonderful opportunity. And I think that to me would be a key factor. I think the other thing that I touched on just now is the commercial opportunity. You know, if I had £1 for every time somebody said to me, "We just need a sponsor," I'd give them 50% of it, because and that would help us enormously. But commercial revenue is very, very difficult, and we need not only to have the right properties to do that, we also need to have the right connection. You know, the right building our audiences, building our data, being able to talk to people and influence people, their behaviours, their habits, their enjoyment, their engagement with the sport. And one of my frustrations, I have to say, is when I hear people talk about digital transformation. Digital transformation happened 30 years ago, and as a sector, certainly as governing bodies, most of us are so far behind the curve. So, but we all know what we've got to do. Most of us don't have the revenue to do it properly and well, deeply enough. But it goes back to the excitement and the drive and the ambition. We've got to find a way to do it. Because it'd be really simple for us to sit back and say, yeah, it's going to cost tens of thousands over a long period of time to get this right. We just haven't got it, so let's just not do it.
Yeah. And
then you become irrelevant.
Yeah. When there are sector-wide challenges like that, how do we come together as a group of national governing bodies or as a sports sector to try and address them? And I know that you've been involved throughout your career in a number of projects and campaigns that have tried to do that in various different areas.
Yeah. I mean, I think UK Sport are trying to do it at the moment. There's a digital transformation, fan engagement project under the system master planning work, which I am a big fan of. I think I think what governing bodies have got to do is not navel gaze quite so much. We're very protective of our own environments. Digital transformation in table tennis is no different to pretty much every other sport. And I'd love us to be able to, as a sector, I'd love us to be able to share resources better. I'd love more common goals. You know, we can't address every challenge as individual governing bodies. It's just too difficult. It's just too expensive, or we don't have the right capacity or capabilities in our teams. But bringing it together, we could be so powerful, ridiculously powerful. Just look at, how many people love sport in this country? How many people get turned on to sports that they wouldn't necessarily associate themselves with during an Olympic Games or a Commonwealth Games? And so we are a nation of sports lovers.
And what are the things that you're going to miss, either as being the CEO of an organisation like ours or working in the sector? What are the things that made your decision to retire difficult?
I think the one thing that I'm still dreading, I have to say, is the idea that I finish next Thursday, and I wake up Friday morning, and what do I do? I'm not going to go and sit in Starbucks every day. I'm going to miss our ambition. I'm going to miss our opportunity. I'm going to miss working with you guys. The team here is one of the best teams that I've worked with anywhere. Some wonderful people doing some great things. I'm going to miss the kind of the kind of long term, like when I was talking earlier on about the bigger picture. But also recognise that it's someone else's turn to do that now. My time has kind of come. My time is moving on, And I will genuinely miss working here, but I'm also super excited to what the next months, years bring for me and my family. I keep saying, I said last year when I was thinking about this might be the right time to move on. I did start to think that, well, if my football team could be any better, then I could go on a European tour, and that's not working out very well.
No, you might have to change your allegiance.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with your time? Like you say, you're not going to sit in Starbucks every day. I'm sure that you will frequent the golf course a little more often.
I certainly will. Yeah, playing a bit more golf. I'm going to say playing sport. Since I could walk, I've been playing sport, and I'm not going to stop doing that. Some travel. I've got 2 amazing grandchildren who I absolutely adore, and taking them to school, picking them up from school, watching them get into sport, encouraging them to be just brilliant young people is what I want. Is what I want to do as well. Spend more time with Julie. My wife's made some massive sacrifices for me over the course of my career. When I was talking earlier about all the different places or roles that I've done, my kids went to something like 8 different schools, and we moved house, numerous times, so that I could be closer to the next step of my career. And my family put up with a lot during the early days, and it's time that I kind of turn that round and give them the time that they rightly deserve.
And just touching on that point, someone who's perhaps in the earlier stages of their career but very ambitious like you were or you are, and that perhaps sees themselves one day as being the CEO or a leader of an organisation, are they the sorts of sacrifices that need to be made in order to do that? Or do we live in a slightly different world now?
Yeah, we do. We live in a very different world now. And I think if I was starting out, or if I was in the process of kind of stepping from role to build my career, I don't think I would have to be able to work in the same way. The one thing that I do think leaders need to have, they need to be present. And when I took the decision to move from Sussex up to Milton Keynes, it was very much about ensuring that I could be visible. And now I still think that's quite important. But of course, the world operates in a far more kind of arm's length way, if that's the right word, than we used to. COVID's changed that. So I think if I was giving anybody some advice, I wouldn't say, be prepared to move house every other week, or take your kids from school to school. I don't think people need to do that. But what I do think is, I always say to people, find something that you're going to wake up happy every day. Feel the excitement of the job that you're doing every day. If it becomes boring, if it becomes monotonous, you need to change it, because it's not good for you, but it's certainly not good for the organisation either. So I think it's important that that just really enjoying what you do, and it doesn't always have to be the top job. I strove for that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's right for everybody.
So at the end of all of our time out features, we do a quick fire round.
Okay.
So I've got some questions for you. First thing that comes into your head, you have to say.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm not going to trip you up here.
All right, okay.
Favourite film?
I'm not.
Quick fire, Adrian.
I know. I'm not massively into movies. Saving Private Ryan.
Favourite band or song?
Oh, Blondie.
Don't really need to ask this, do I?
And Atomic. The best track ever.
Your career highlight, if you can narrow it down to one.
Ooh, men's doubles medal at the Rio Games.
3 words to summarise your time at Table Tennis England.
Loved every second.
Okay, I'll take your first answer. I'm sure you haven't loved every second. It's being the CEO of an NGB is not always easy.
Genuinely, I've really loved every second.
Who would play Adrian Christy in a movie?
Adrian Christy.
Yeah? Fancy yourself as a bit of a
No.
Hollywood star?
No, I don't think anyone would have anyone else would have my patience
I thought you were
or
going to say,
patience with me.
I thought you were going to say someone like Ben Affleck. I could
No,
see,
Trevor Brooking. Trevor Brooking is God
yeah?
to me. Yeah, Trevor Brooking is God. He would, yeah, to have any kind of association with Trevor Brooking would be a good thing.
Okay, well, the answer to the next question will probably be quite easy then. West Ham to win the league or GB to win gold in table tennis in LA?
Oh. Listen, to everyone in table tennis, you will understand. See, I've loved every second of table tennis, but I live West Ham. So it would have to be, West Ham have got to win the league. We've never done it. We never won a medal actually either.
Well, thank you for taking the time out today, Adrian, to chat to me.
Pleasure.
We've had lots of chats over the 3 years that we've worked together, and I've enjoyed each of them and listening to many stories from your time in sport. And I wish you all the very best for your retirement. You deserve it.
Thank you.
And I hope you
That's very kind of you.
enjoy
Thank
the
you.
time that you get with your grandchildren and with Julie.
Yeah.
And I hope you find that you and Julie still get on all right after all these years. Now you're going to be spending a bit more time together.
You never know. If I'm applying for something in a few months' time, you'll realise that actually things have got to go back to where they were.
She's
She's had
get back
enough.
out there.
Yeah.